and new asphalt almost all the way around this 2.4-mile course. What these crew chiefs want out of these drivers in this first 20 minutes is a long run. They feel like they can run 11, 12, maybe 13 laps, which is about a third of a fuel run, because they need to know how much tire fall off they'll be. That will dictate their strategy for this 95-lap race tomorrow.
Yeah, you know, I think as you look at all that, you see the track map here. A lot of elevation changes. The angles of the elevation going into turn one, going up that hill is really fun to drive because of the fact that you know, you drive into that hill and you drive it so much harder. This new section back here is 6A, 6A, 6B is a cut through. So we cut about a mile off of the racetrack.
Just a mile.
Yeah, just a mile. A little bit shorter, but as we go through this practice, these guys are going to learn the racetrack. They've studied, they've done track walks, they've been in a simulator, but there's nothing like real life. And you see that new section, you see the new asphalt right there. But look at that, Clint. It goes into this old section of asphalt right here, and that is going to be slick compared to a lot of the other sections that we go into. So I don't think this section will be super difficult, but you still have to get in a rhythm.
As you say, it goes into it. It transitions from that new asphalt, right, and then right into that old. You're going from a ton of grip to, oh boy, right on ice. So that'll be a challenge for them, and also a passing zone. That sets up a great passing zone part of this racetrack. That's where my eyes are on and focused on as a race car driver. I want to be good on the corners to set me up to either pass or be passed.
Yeah, and you see all the drivers waiting around that are in Group 2. They want to know. They're going to have a little bit of an advantage because they'll be able to see the progress of the tires and the lap times and all the things that come with this racetrack. So, Regan, you got a pretty good perspective over there.
Kevin, that's right. Probably the best perspective on this facility of what's going on. You'll see behind me the S's right now. We can pick them up as they come down turns 3, 4, 5 as they enter into turn 6 over my right shoulder. That's what we've been talking about. That's where that asphalt change is going to be. But there's also old curbings that were removed over there that have created a bump for these race cars that have to go over in that braking zone. So a lot for these guys to learn. And yes, they did have simulation. Many of the simulators, though, could not replicate what the track actually is. These guys right now hitting this for the first time, perhaps ever, other than maybe what makeshift stuff they had in the simulator.
And note that big tire stack at the inside of the corner.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that, and that's that dive bomb, right? On the restarts and stuff like that, they're going to be fanned out. Do not be in that. It'll end your day.
Yeah, with the rodeo, you'd have a clown pop up out of there.
Yeah, I'm not getting in it. Go ahead, knock yourself out. Hey, see if Regan will go down there and get over practice from that tire.
You see Connor Zilic going by right there, making his Cup debut, and a lot of laps in the Xfinity car yesterday.
He spent a lot of time off the racetrack, so to speak, Kevin, and there's a lot of real estate up here.
Yeah, and what happens as you go outside of the curbing, off those exits and entrances of the corners, it actually gets roomier as we go through the day. That paint will actually get stickier.
Well, keep an eye on this young man, because 18-year-old Connor Zilic, well, he won his first Xfinity Series start last year and came in here yesterday, practiced almost 2 seconds faster than the Xfinity field, and went out and put his car on the pole. He's making his Cup Series debut, the second youngest driver to ever do so, and he is a talent.
He really is, and this is really where he's going to shine. He's a world-class road racer. Still has a lot of things to learn on the ovals, but when we get to these types of racetracks, and especially here, you're really going to be able to see the lap time and things that he can do. But this is definitely the most difficult crowd of guys that he'll have ever raced, for sure.
Well, he's stacking up against a pretty good fourth already, first lap. Not too shabby.
P4 right there, 139.9. Which one is it? 139.1.
That's one thing I noticed about him. Not a lot of wasted effort. Very, very disciplined.
They said just a little bit off of P1 there, and that's Bowman, Alex Bowman up there. You can see it on the pylon, but transitioning from that Xfinity car just to that, I'm going to tell you, that's the speed right there. Nothing more than just the difference in the car. I bet you this second lap, things will change for
well, and just remember, he hasn't driven the car.
That's what I mean.
So on the racetrack, you do a lot of simulation work, but Alex Bowman has been really good, as you see him go off in the dirt right there, off the exit of turn 20, coming onto the front straightaway.
Told you it went faster. He matched that speed at Bowman pretty close, but they went faster. Yeah, how about SVG to the top of the board?
Well,
No
that's a
surprise there.
surprise, no.
Well, think about the Trackhouse group, and you'll see Ross Chastain in the next group, but you've got SVG, you've got Connor Zillage, Daniel Suarez, all really good road racers. And I think when you have those good road racers and are able to put all those guys in the simulator, we saw it with Junior Motorsports yesterday, it makes the rest of the team better too.
You bring up a great point. I want to be in that second group here, right? When you're splitting these groups up, I want and you said it, Ross Chastain's up there grinning from ear to ear. He knows his teammate, his equipment's going to be good. Now I just got to go out and do the same job that SVG's doing behind the wheel. That's quite a bit too, 138.86 to the other second bracket for everybody else.
Austin Cindric, one of the Cup Series most experienced road racers, had a lot of time in lesser divisions before he came to the Cup Series, racing in America and Europe.
Yeah, and as much as we've talked about these Fords their first couple of weeks on the super speedways, this has definitely not been their strong suit as far as road racing and the things that have happened here at COTA. So it'll be interesting to see where that all stacks up from a speed standpoint, but Austin Cindric does a great job behind the wheel on these road courses.
So road race fans are very comfortable with the concept of track limits. NASCAR, let's say, is not. We are enforcing track limits in the S's, and if you have 4 tires below the red and white curbing, that is off track. Cody Ware with an issue here.
That is off track. Exactly what you speak of.
Let's check with Josh Sims.
I'm out here with Tyler Reddick, one of just 3 drivers who finished top 10 in all 4 starts here. What are you looking at now as you're ready to get out there and big race with this track?
Yeah, look at my fire off pace and obviously how much fall off is occurring. It would be kind of hard to read with the other parts of our track before how practice, but looks like started a lot of pace fall off the first 2 laps.
Appreciate your time and good luck. Tyler Reddick, 3 winner here at COTA 80.
Thank you, Josh. Well, Ross Chastain, one of the few drivers who's already turned laps here at the track, running double duty in the Xfinity Series. What have been your initial observations of the track?
A lot of change, Caitlin. It's it's changing by the minute. Yesterday, like the track walk was one thing, and then we had barriers in and we took them out. So it's just a collaboration by everybody with NASCAR, SMI, and COTA, the track itself, to listen to the drivers of taking those big barriers out. I think was good. But then in turn 14 and 15, they milled the asphalt out, and now there's grass. So for our Busch Light Chevy, I'm down here all alone. I had no teammates sit down here with me to talk to. They're all out there getting to make laps. Although I got my laps yesterday in my acceptance insurance Chevy with Junior Motorsports, which is a really cool thing to say that I'm driving with Junior Motorsports on Saturday. Today, I've been wanting to do that since I first saw one of their cars on track in 2014. And 2025, I finally get to sit in the seat. So watching my teammates right now, the other Chevy cars, to see kind of what they think. Obviously, rubber speed quickly with
Thank you for your time, Ross Chastain, a former winner here, of course, at COTA, guys.
Having a look at his teammate, Daniel Suarez, around turn 1.
Larry's seen a lot of fall off already in 4 or 5 laps here.
I am too, and this is what everybody wanted to see, because right now you look at Ben Gisbergen in the 88 car, he's essentially run 3 laps in from lap 1 to lap 3, basically a second and a half fall off. What they want to see though, Clint, is where is it about lap 10, lap 11, how much fall off?
And we saw this same. This is a very similar tire to Watkins Glen, and we saw a lot of the same things in practice there. And then we got into the race after the racetrack got rubbered up, and that fall off kind of lessened as we went through the race. But this is a different surface, a lot different type of racetrack with the way that you have to have the wheels driving going forward. A lot of slower corners. Watkins Glen, much different style of track. This is a very technical section as we come to turn 15 right here. You see Shane just kind of split that curve on the exit. You can go all the way wide. This is a very sweeping corner, turn 16. A lot of unique roll speed and throttle. Let's hear what Shane has to say.
after this section.
Yeah, and that's going to feel like they may cut a couple of his fingers off because, you know, these guys with this car and that are the guys that are really good at road racing, they twist on that brake knob and shove those levers back and forth to adjust the bias, and a lot of it has advanced to the point where they'll actually use that different brake bias every lap in different corners.
Also explains that fall off that Larry was just talking about. That fall off's real. The tires are, you know, starting to slip and slide around. He's having to adjust the brakes pretty early too, by the way, 5 laps in.
And they're going to adjust it just to adjust it as they get used to the different.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
You got some. You know, you go into turn 1 and you have where the 7 car is headed right now. You go up this huge hill, so it invites you to have some super heavy braking because you can see that hill right there as you're braking into the hill, and then it'll plateau off, and then you can see the elevation change right there, go back down the hill. So there's just a lot of different styles of braking. You have a lot of options from the brake pedal to be heavy braking. You can trail out of the brake. You can have some. You have so many different corners that you have to use different styles of braking.
That shows, you see where he just has those outside tires barely on the red and white rumble strips. That's exactly how you do it. I was actually watching earlier some guys that were flirting with that pretty good. You gotta stay on those rumble strips, at least with one set of tires, right? Larry Mack?
Yeah, I just want to expand on this brake bias. And when you watch our race on Fox tomorrow, our Toyota cutaway car, we're going to show you exactly what's going on when the driver adjusts the brake bias. The car basically has 2 brake systems, a front and a rear. And if the car is loose getting in the corner, under braking, you're going to crank a little more front in it. If the car's tight and doesn't turn under braking, getting in the corner, you're going to crank some rear. My experience, Kevin and Clint, you want to try to crank as much rear as you can to help it turn under braking. You just can't be loose getting in.
Especially with these new cars, with having, you know, so much brake on them, as their tires wear out, you have to start moving it back. You lock them front tires up. Once you lock them up, it only gets worse from there.
Yeah. So this rhythm section through the S's right here is going to be very unique for where they're ending up on our screen right here in the 6 area.
Can you show me where out of bounds is?
Yeah, well, the out of bounds is going to be anything below this curb. Sorry. It's going to be anything below this curb right here. So if all 4 tires are below that, it will be a penalty. So you got to keep at least some sort of tire on the outside of that curb, so that
red and white.
Yeah, so these red, you can't be below those red and white rumble strips, Clint.
Let's see how. What is this? Let's see how they do there. That looks pretty good, Noah Gregson.
And you want to cut it as close as you can, because really the inside of that curb will have some grip if you can. It's hard to do because you're on the verge of cutting the racetrack, but there's also grip if you can hook that lip. And you want to use as much racetrack as possible, because as you enter 6A, you want to be as far right to possible on the exit of turn 6, so you get a good run through to A and B.
Also straightens them corners out.
Well, let's go out to turn 6 and Regan.
Well, Mike, very interesting out here already. You guys just mentioned how far to the right the cars are staying to enter turn 6A. What I'm seeing, though, is that opens up a door for a potential passing zone. Somebody wants to throw a dive bomb down into that corner. It could make it difficult on the outside car. The other thing that we're seeing a lot of already, where the transition across the old curve. As they come across the old curve, the tires are locking up almost every lap on the left side. So the left front tire locking up just a little bit. That's something to keep an eye on. I don't think it's enough to flat spot any of these tires. Lastly, when they hit the transition, as they go through the middle of turn 6A, onto the old asphalt, a lot of different options on how these guys are doing it right now. You hear some guys not shifting through that short chute. You hear some guys opting to grab a gear in that section of the course. The cars on the top of the board, like Shane Van Gisbergen and Alex Bowman, they sound to me like they're staying in one gear, even getting wheel spin doing that as well.
I like what you said there, Regan, about the 6A being a passing zone and restarts. Takes me back to the old configuration, the long course, if you will. Turn 11 was much like 6A. On a restart, especially when the cars are bunched up, they really fanned out getting into that corner, and a lot of chaos ended up ensuing up there.
So we're not using turns 7 through 11 or half the straightaway from 11 to 12. This is not quite the national course if you have raced here at COTA or been here for some of the other events. There's also a short course that uses just turns 7 to 11 and have that straightaway. We're using a short part of it, calling 6 and 6A, and the straightaway between. So it's an extension of what is known as the national course here, but it is unique to the NASCAR weekend.
And they didn't use the national course because there's a drain in the middle of it, and with the way that these cars would go through there, they would slam into the ground every lap. So they created this other section that is right behind that section of the national course.
You can see it right there. That was a good overall bird's eye view of how that's changed.
Yeah, what a beautiful place.
It is. This place is awesome. I mean, top notch from the time you get into the gate on the property, the time you get on the track. There you go.
There you go, right here. He's got those 4 tires off in the green and nothing on those red and white curves, so that's a penalty.
And that penalty to be served over is a stop and go. We'll have to come to a complete stop. We'll see that at the Roval and other tracks, and then go.
So Larry Mack explained to us what the penalty is for shortcutting.
Yeah, you're looking at turn 13 right there. If you cut track limits up there in the S's, you have to stop and go at turn 13. And then there's an access road that you have to run as well. It's just going to add a lot of time to your lap, especially if it's in qualifying in a race. But the biggest thing, at the end of the race, if you cut the track limits on the last lap, it happened to Shane Van Gisbergen a year ago in Xfinity, it's a 30-second time penalty added to your final lap. He went from 2nd to 27th in the final race results.
So those green stripes define the drive of shame.
The other thing that's hard about this, that's just with one car as we're showing in practice. You get out there on a restart and there's cars in a single file line. You really can't see around or through that car in front of you. Pretty easy to get that penalty.
Here's A.J. Allmendinger, veteran racer, and we listen in.
There's no point in doing spin ever, man. I was seeing this year. Everything, honestly. The car is so rough. I'm so sideways. Just shattering rear tires, like launching tires up. Like everything, honestly.
You need to be better, Kevin.
Well, that's not what you want to hear, and I think that this tire, may throw everybody for a loop, and as you see the fall off and everything that is happening with these tires, the cars are obviously going to need to drive better. So in the past, well, we won't even go in the past. We're going to go now, because you have new asphalt, you got new tire, you've got all these things that you think are happening, and now you get here. Now you're going to have to abort what you were thinking for the second practice, because you're probably going to need to run your second. You can hear the tires chattering on that 54 car right there. So the cars are sliding around. So we're going to have to make some adjustments to our car to make the drive good.
And I love what you just said, and I think that's key for this practice session. That is a great key for these guys to be able to come in, dissect all those problems, talk about it, make some adjustments, and go back out for second practice if you will.
1 minute, 1:30.
It shows you how uphill that is. And the hardest part, like you said earlier, easy to get under braking, and it's kind of rough going up the hill, but then it plateaus off and tabletops at the top. That's when the braking pressure has to change to get set up for the corner, kind of a blind corner.
Yeah,
as you get up there.
One thing that you can see right here, you can see this ridge right here, okay? So a lot of times that ridge will run all the way across the racetrack right there. So as a driver, not only do you see that big hill that goes up, you're going to see where that ridge transitions. So on the entrance of the corner, if you pan just a little to the left right there as well, Artie, but you can see that ridge right there, and that goes across the racetrack into turn 1. So you'll kind of see a lot of these guys not follow that curve on the entry, because that ridge kind of gives you something to lean on. And you'll look at a lot of these corners, and you'll take that elevation and you'll take the angle of the corner. Okay, I'm driving into the hill here, I'm driving down the hill there. This corner's, bank to the left.
The tire likes
all
the
those
load,
things.
right? And the hill creates load, which creates grip. As soon as it plateaus at the top, all that goes away.
SVG to the top. Bowman, Connor Zilic, AJ Allmendinger. Thanks for watching.
Connor Zilic, fastest in 1.
Welcome to the breakthrough era. If you get knocked down, get back up era. Look, how did you do that era? Keep playing era. Let's